I want you to picture a scene that happens in millions of kitchens across America every single morning. It is a scene you have probably acted out thousands of times yourself. You put 2 slices of bread into the toaster, you press the lever down, and you turn away to pour a cup of coffee or check the weather. Maybe you get distracted for a moment. Suddenly, the toaster pops. You look down, and instead of a perfect golden brown, the bread is dark. It is charred. It is black around the edges and dark brown in the center. What do you do? If you are like most people from our generation, you do not throw it away. We were raised not to waste food. We were raised with the idea that you eat what is put in front of you. So, you take a butter knife, you stand over the sink, and you scrape. You scrape off the blackest parts, the charcoal dust falls into the sink, and you are left with a piece of dry, scratchy toast. You butter it, you eat it, and you get on with your day. You might even tell yourself that the burnt part is good for you, that it cleans your teeth or settles your stomach. I am here to tell you that this morning ritual, this simple act of scraping and eating, is introducing a potent, DNA-damaging chemical into your body that could be silently increasing your risk of cancer. Today we are going to talk about a hidden danger in our diet that has nothing to do with fats, sugars, or cholesterol. We are going to talk about heat. We are going to discuss a chemical called acrylamide. It is not an additive. It is not a pesticide. It is something we create ourselves, right in our own kitchens, when we cook starchy foods at high temperatures. For those of us over 60, who have spent a lifetime eating fried potatoes, well-done toast, and crispy cookies, understanding this chemical is vital. Our bodies are not as efficient at filtering out toxins as they were when we were 20. We need to be smarter about how we cook. By the end of this video, you will look at your toaster differently. You will know the golden rule of cooking that oncologists wish everyone followed. You will understand why storing potatoes in the fridge is a dangerous mistake. And you will have a clear, simple plan to reduce your exposure to this carcinogen without giving up the foods you love. Let's start with the discovery of this danger, because it is a fascinating story that proves how much we still have to learn about our food. This is not ancient wisdom. We didn't know about this 30 years ago. In 2002, scientists in Sweden were doing a study. They were actually looking at construction workers who were using a specific industrial sealant to repair a tunnel. This sealant contained acrylamide, which is a known nerve toxin in its industrial form. They tested the workers, and sure enough, they had high levels of acrylamide in their blood. But then, as a control group, they tested people who had nothing to do with the tunnel. They expected to find zero acrylamide. Instead, they found it everywhere. The general population had high levels of this toxin. The scientists were baffled. Where was it coming from? They traced it back to the grocery store. They found that when certain foods, specifically foods high in carbohydrates like potatoes and grains, were heated above 250 degrees Fahrenheit, a chemical reaction occurred that created acrylamide naturally. The world was shocked. We realized we had been eating this chemical since the invention of fire. So, what exactly is happening on your slice of bread? It is called the Maillard reaction. This is the chemical reaction that gives browned food its delicious flavor. It is what makes a steak sear savory, it is what makes a bread crust tasty, and it is what makes coffee beans aromatic. It happens when sugars and an amino acid called asparagine, which is found naturally in wheat and potatoes, get hot. They dance together, they change structure, and they turn brown. But if that dance goes on too long, if the heat is too high or the time is too long, the brown turns to black, and the tasty flavor compounds turn into acrylamide. Think of acrylamide as the exhaust fume of overcooking. It is a byproduct of burning energy. Why should you be afraid of it? When you ingest acrylamide, your body absorbs it from your digestive tract. It travels into your bloodstream and is metabolized by your liver. Your liver turns it into another compound called glucidomide. This is the real villain. Glucidomide has the ability to travel into your cells and attack your DNA. It causes mutations. It damages the genetic code. When DNA gets damaged and doesn't repair itself correctly, that is the seed of cancer. Studies on animals have been terrifyingly clear. High doses of acrylamide cause cancer in rats and mice, specifically thyroid, testicular, and breast cancers. Now, scientists are cautious. They say, well, humans process it differently than rats. But major health organizations, including the World Health Organization and the FDA, classify acrylamide as a probable human carcinogen. That word, probable, is enough for me. We don't wait for the car to crash to put on our seatbelts. We take precautions. Let's go back to the toast. The amount of acrylamide in toast is directly related to the color. This is the most important visual image I want you to have today. Picture a color chart. On the left, you have pale white bread. Almost zero acrylamide. In the middle, you have a light golden yellow. This has very low, safe levels. As you move to the right, you get golden brown. The levels are rising. Then you get dark brown. The levels are spiking. Finally, you get black. The levels are off the charts. The difference between a light gold slice of toast and a dark brown one is not just taste, it is a massive difference in chemical load. And here is the kicker, scraping the black off doesn't fix the problem. Acrylamide is not just on the surface like dust. It penetrates deep into the crust. By the time the outside is black, the inside has already been exposed to enough heat to generate the toxin. Scraping is a psychological comfort, not a medical solution. But toast is actually not the biggest offender. The king of acrylamide is the potato. And specifically, the fried potato. French fries and potato chips. I know, this is hard to hear. We love our fries. But potatoes are packed with that amino acid, asparagine. When you drop a potato into boiling oil, which is usually around 350 to 375 degrees, you are creating a perfect factory for acrylamide. That is why potato chips are often cited as one of the most carcinogenic foods in the supermarket aisle. It is not the preservatives, it is the cooking method itself. If you look at a potato chip, those dark brown spots, the crispy edges that we think are the best part. That is concentrated acrylamide. This brings us to a critical mistake that many seniors make, often thinking they are doing the right thing for food preservation. Do you keep your raw potatoes in the refrigerator? If you do, I need you to stop immediately. Take them out right now. When you store a raw potato in the cold, below 42 degrees, a chemical change happens inside the vegetable. The cold turns the potato's starch into sugar. This is a process called cold-induced sweetening. You might not taste the sweetness, but the chemistry has changed. When you take that cold, sugar-loaded potato and roast it or fry it, that extra sugar reacts explosively with the amino acids. It produces way more acrylamide than a potato stored in a dark, cool pantry. A potato from the fridge will turn black much faster and will be much more toxic than a potato from the cupboard. This is a simple fix. Keep your potatoes in a basket, in a cool, dry place, but never in the fridge. Now, I want to address the air fryer craze. Many of you might have bought an air fryer recently, or your children bought you one, because it is healthier. It uses less oil, which is true. That is good for your heart and your waistline. But we have to be careful. An air fryer is essentially a superconvection oven. It blasts food with intense, dry heat. Acrylamide loves dry heat. It does not form when you boil or steam food, because water boils at 212 degrees, which is too low for the reaction to happen. But air fryers go up to 400 degrees. If you put potatoes or bread in an air fryer and you let them get dark brown and super crispy, you are creating high levels of acrylamide, even without the oil. The lack of oil does not protect you from the chemical reaction of the starch. If you use an air fryer, you must watch the timer like a hawk. You want cooked, but not crunchy brown. Let's talk about the cumulative effect. You might be thinking, I've been eating burnt toast for 70 years and I'm fine. That is the survivor bias speaking. Cancer is not a guarantee, it is a game of Russian roulette. Every time you expose your cells to a carcinogen, you pull the trigger. Maybe the chamber is empty. Maybe your body repairs the DNA. But as we age, our repair mechanisms get slower. Our immune system, which hunts down early cancer cells, gets tired. Our liver and kidneys, which filter out toxins, lose efficiency. What your body could handle at 20, it might struggle with at 70. Why add extra pressure to the system? Why give the cancer a helping hand? We are already exposed to pollution, stress, and other environmental toxins we cannot control. This, the color of your toast, is something you can control. It is a variable entirely in your hands. This issue also touches on a broader philosophy of how we eat as we age. We tend to crave comfort foods. Toast, biscuits, cookies, fries. These are starchy, heated comfort foods. They are easy to chew, they are cheap, and they feel good. I am not telling you to stop eating bread or potatoes. Carbohydrates are energy. I am telling you that the preparation is the poison. We need to shift our palate. We have been trained by the food industry to equate dark brown and crispy with flavor. We see commercials where the burger bun is perfectly toasted, the fries are golden rust color. We need to retrain our eyes to see golden yellow as delicious. We need to see pale as safe. There is a campaign in the UK launched by their food standards agency called Go for Gold. It is a brilliant, simple slogan. When you are frying, baking, toasted, or roasting starchy foods, aim for a golden yellow color or lighter. If it turns brown, you have gone too far. If it turns black, it belongs in the bin, not in your body. This applies to roasted root vegetables too. Parsnips, turnips, sweet potatoes, they all have sugars and starches. If you roast them until they are charred, you are creating the same chemical. Here is a practical, scientific trick for those of you who love homemade French fries or roast potatoes. Before you cook your potatoes, peel them, chop them, and then soak them in water. Let them sit in a bowl of cold water for 15 to 30 minutes. The water will turn cloudy. That cloudiness is the excess starch and sugar leaching out of the potato. Rinse them off and pat them dry before cooking. By removing that surface sugar, you are removing the fuel for the acrylamide reaction. You can still get a nice cooked potato, but it won't darken as quickly, and the acrylamide levels can be reduced by up to 40 or 50% just by that simple act of soaking. It is an old chef's trick for crispiness, but it turns out to be a life-saving trick for health. What about coffee? This is the question that always comes up. Coffee beans are roasted. Dark roast, light roast. Doesn't that mean they have acrylamide? Yes, they do. Coffee is actually one of the biggest dietary sources of acrylamide for adults simply because we drink so much of it. However, the science on coffee is a bit more complex and actually reassuring. While coffee contains the chemical, it also contains huge amounts of antioxidants and polyphenol that seem to protect the body against cancer. The benefits of the coffee bean seem to outweigh the risk of the roasting byproduct. Furthermore, dark roast coffee actually has less acrylamide than light roast. This sounds backward, but it is true. The chemical forms early in the roasting process and then breaks down as the roasting continues. So, if you are worried, stick to a dark roast. But generally, doctors do not recommend stopping coffee consumption for this reason. The focus should be on the solid foods, the chips, the crackers, the toast, the fries. Let's look at the grocery store aisles. Crackers, cookies, and baby biscuits. These are processed at very high industrial temperatures. Prune juice is another surprise source, high in acrylamide. Canned black olives. Why? Because of the preservation methods involving heat. We need to be label readers, but unfortunately, acrylamide is not listed on the nutrition label because it is not an ingredient. You won't find it under fat or sugar. You have to use your judgment based on the appearance of the food. If you buy a bag of pretzels, look at them. Are they dark brown and hard? Or are they lighter? Choose the lighter options. If you are buying frozen French fries to put in the oven, look for the ones that don't have added sugar, sometimes listed as dextrose, which is used to make them brown faster. I want to talk about the waste not, want not mentality again, because this is the biggest barrier for our generation. We hate throwing food away. It feels like a sin. But you have to weigh the cost of the slice of bread against the cost of your health. A slice of bread costs a few cents. Treatment for cancer costs a fortune, not just in money, but in suffering, in time lost with family, in quality of life. Is it really waste to throw away a poison? If you dropped the toast in bleach, you wouldn't eat it. You would say it is contaminated. You need to view burnt toast the same way. It is chemically contaminated. It is no longer food, it is waste. Throwing it away is an act of self-preservation. So, let's create a new morning routine. A safe routine. Step 1, check your toaster settings. Most toasters have a dial from 1 to 5. If yours is set on 4 or 5, turn it down to 2. It is better to toast it twice on a low setting and keep an eye on it than to blast it once on high and hope for the best. Step 2, stay in the room. Don't walk away. Smell is your first indicator. If you smell that sharp, charcoal scent, it is already too late. You want the smell of warm bread, not burning carbon. Step 3, inspect the bread. If it pops up and it has dark brown patches or black edges, be brave. Throw it away. Or, if it is just a tiny corner, cut that corner off completely. Don't scrape it, amputate it. Step 4, reevaluate your snacks. If you sit watching TV at night with a bag of dark, hard pretzels or potato chips, consider switching. Popcorn is a better alternative if it isn't burnt. Nuts are a great alternative. Fruit is the best alternative. We also need to consider the texture of our food. Hard, crunchy, dry foods are usually the ones with the highest acrylamide. Soft, steamed, boiled, or poached foods have virtually none. As we get older, softer foods are often easier on our digestion and our teeth anyway. Maybe it is time to rediscover the joy of a boiled potato with some fresh dill and butter, rather than the deep-fried fry. Maybe it is time to enjoy soft, warm bread with olive oil rather than dry, crunchy toast. This shift in texture is a shift away from cancer risk. I want to mention a specific concern for those who bake at home. If you make your own bread, biscuits, or pies, you have control. You can control the oven temperature. Lowering the oven temperature by just 25 degrees and cooking for a little longer can prevent that rapid browning. Using parchment paper prevents the bottom of your cookies from scorching. And brushing your pastries with egg yolk instead of sugar water gives a golden color without promoting as much acrylamide formation as pure sugar does. You are the chemist in your own kitchen. You have the power to change the reaction. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by health advice. Every day the news tells us something else is going to kill us. Don't eat this, don't do that. It can make you want to give up and just eat whatever you want. But this advice about burnt food is different. It is actionable. It is visible. You can see the danger with your own eyes. It is right there on the plate. That empowers you. You don't need a doctor to tell you if your toast is burnt. You know. Let's think about the example we set for our grandchildren, too. They learn from us. If they see grandma or grandpa eating the burnt toast and saying, "It puts hair on your chest," they will adopt that habit. They have young, dividing cells that are even more sensitive to DNA damage than ours. By changing your habit, you are teaching them a lesson in health literacy. You are teaching them that cooking is a skill, and part of that skill is safety. You are protecting the next generation by breaking the cycle of eating it anyway. There is a psychological aspect to the crunch that we crave. Crunchy food relieves stress. It is satisfying. If you give up the burnt toast and the chips, you might miss that crunch. You can replace it. Crisp raw vegetables like carrots, celery, and bell peppers give you that satisfaction with zero acrylamide and tons of vitamins. If you need a warm crunch, try dehydrating vegetables at low temperatures instead of frying them. It takes longer, but it is safe. I also want to clarify something about the word burnt. Some people think this only applies to the charcoal black layer. But the research shows the curve starts earlier. The dark brown is also a danger zone. We need to recalibrate our definition of done. Done should mean cooked through and safe to eat, not crispy and dehydrated. The moistness of the food protects it. Once all the moisture is gone, the temperature shoots up, and the chemical reactions go wild. Keep the moisture in your food. Let's summarize the science one more time to make sure it sticks. Starch, carbohydrate, plus asparagine, amino acid, plus high heat, above 250 degrees Fahrenheit, equals acrylamide, carcinogen. This equation is non-negotiable. It is physics. You cannot argue with physics. You can only work around it. The workarounds are water, lower heat, and shorter time. If you are currently undergoing treatment for any illness, your body is under stress. Reducing the load of toxins you ingest is even more critical. You want your liver focusing on your medication and your healing, not on processing a burnt bagel. Think of your body as a bucket. It can only hold so much stress before it overflows. Acrylamide is just another drop in the bucket, but it is a drop you can stop. Why let the bucket overflow over a piece of bread? I want you to make a pact with yourself today. Go to your kitchen. Look at your potato storage. Move them to the pantry. Look at your toaster. Turn the dial down. Next time you order a burger at a restaurant, ask for a side salad or a baked potato instead of the fries. If you do get the fries and they come out dark brown, send them back. It is your right as a customer to be served safe food. Tell the waiter, these are overcooked, and I am watching my health. You might be surprised, you might educate them too. This is not about living in fear. It is about living with intention. We want to live long, yes, but we want to live well. We want to be free of preventable diseases. We want to have energy. We want our minds to remain sharp. Toxic load affects all of these things. Acrylamide is a neurotoxin as well as a carcinogen. In large amounts, it damages the nervous system. While the amounts in food are lower than industrial accidents, why take the risk with your nerves as you age? Numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, these are things we want to avoid. So, the message is simple. Embrace the gold. Look for the golden color in your cooking. Reject the brown and the black. It is a small shift. It takes no extra time. It costs no extra money. In fact, it saves you electricity because you are cooking for less time. But this small shift reduces the genetic damage happening in your cells every single day. It is one of the most powerful, proactive steps you can take for cancer prevention in your own home. Next time you smell that burning smell coming from the kitchen, don't think, oh, I'll just scrape it. Think, that is a warning signal. Respect the signal. Toss the toast. Start over. Your life is worth more than a slice of bread. You have made it this far, through 6 or 7 decades of life. You have survived a lot. Don't let a toaster be the thing that trips you up now. Be smart, cook safe, and enjoy your food the way it was meant to be, golden, delicious, and nourishing. Thank you for listening. This kind of information is what separates those who just age from those who age successfully. You are now armed with the knowledge of the golden rule. Use it. Share it with your spouse. Share it with your friends. Let's make burnt toast a thing of the past. Here is to your health, your kitchen, and your longevity. Stay safe and eat well.